The Streets, Traffic, and Refuse meeting will be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Murphy.
Here.
Alderman Kotar.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd. Here. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Here. Chairman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Martin. 5 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. The first board bill up is Board Bill 236, sponsored by Alderman Joe VACCARO, which will be handled by Alderman Jack Coder this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a big one. This is the stop sign bill for Alderman VACCARO. He asked me to handle this for him. I think he had some sort of conflict today. This would create a 4-way stop at the intersection of Clifton and Oleatha Avenue down in the 23rd Ward, regulating all traffic northbound and southbound on Clifton. So it doesn't sound like there's a 4-way, probably a 2-way there now. As usual, you know, I think the streets department said no to the stop sign, and the alderman is using a board bill to get it done, to please his constituents who desperately want this stop sign.
Okay, well, we'll take questions. Alderwoman Murphy.
I have no questions.
Alderwoman Boyd.
No questions.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
No questions.
I have no questions, just a comment that we can never have enough stop signs outside the 22nd Ward.
Well, there you go.
I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 236.
So
Second.
moved.
Second.
I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, I move that well, usually we just say the other way. I move that Board Bill 236 be passed with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Moved and second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Kotar.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd. Aye. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Aye. Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Martin. 5 yes votes.
Okay, next up is Resolution 188. I sent a letter to the treasurer last week directing her to appear before the committee. Of course, she did appear last Tuesday, but there was a need for some follow-up questions in reference to some of the testimony that was given last week and some questions that wasn't asked. I am the chair of the committee. Alderman Coder is the vice chair. I sent the letter to the treasurer directly via email. I got a response via Alderman Coder that she was not coming. And so I'll read this letter because it has CC'd the committee, but I know sometimes people may not get the letter. So it's addressed to Alderman Coder. Our office is in receipt of Alderman Boyd's January 17, 2018 request for the treasurer to appear before the Board of Alderman Streets, Traffic, and Refuse Committee on January 23rd at 9 o'clock. The treasurer has previous engagements and is unavailable on that date. Treasurer Jones is very busy serving the people of St. Louis and will generally require more notice than 3 business days. Additionally, the treasurer is alarmed and dismayed that Alderman Boyd sent another request for her to appear just 1 day after she voluntarily appeared before the Streets Committee. The timing of Alderman Boyd's request heightens the treasurer's ongoing concerns that he has a conflict of interest and he merely seeks to use the Streets Committee to advance and gain some advantage in his pending litigation against Treasurer Jones. We articulate these concerns to Alderman Boyd and to you and the rest of the Streets Committee last week in separate letters dated January 11, 2018. To our knowledge, Alderman Boyd has not addressed the conflict of interest concerns we have raised. We request that you as Vice Chair and the rest of the Streets Committee address and resolve the issue as you deem appropriate. So let me talk a little bit about that. So the treasurer is asserting that somehow I have a conflict of interest because I'm a plaintiff in a lawsuit. So let me be clear, the lawsuit is not about the treasurer. I'm not suing the treasurer personally in some type of civil case where I'm looking for some type of damages to be awarded to me. Okay, there's no personal gain out of this lawsuit. It's a gain for the city of St. Louis. The lawsuit starts with the state of Missouri because the state of Missouri is the entity that created the statutes putting the parking division under authority of a parking commission, in which 5 members serve on that parking commission, being the treasurer, the parking supervisor, whoever the director of operation of parking appointed by the treasurer, the chairman of streets, traffic and refuse, the comptroller, and the director of streets. So, the state of Missouri is being sued, the city of St. Louis as a whole, because yes, our ordinances, based on state statute that we operate under, in this lawsuit, it's basically asserting that the state statute is invalid, which means our city ordinances are invalid, which means that we're all operating out of order. However, until a judge rules on that, we have to operate under the laws that are currently existing. And that is what I'm attempting to do. Notwithstanding the lawsuit, we as a body, as a Board of Aldermen, and as a committee, still have a duty to perform. Under the charter alone, we can request whatever documents we want to request, and staff or departments must hand over those documents. I've been at the Board of Aldermen for practically 15 years. Never have I known a staff person, department head, or an elected official refuse to come to a hearing, whether it was called in 3 days or 2 days. Normally, we try to work together for the greater good of the city of St. Louis. I take offense to this letter that has been written because the letter basically suggests that the treasurer came to the hearing last week and did us a favor. The treasurer was directed to come last week. The treasurer was directed to come to this meeting. Since the treasurer has chosen not to come to this meeting, I will be directing the clerk and asking the president of the Board of Aldermen to issue a subpoena for her to appear next Tuesday at 9 o'clock to this hearing. It is outrageous that the treasurer feels that she operates under her own authority, under her own ordinances or laws. We are all governed by the same laws here in the city of St. Louis. Board Bill 92 requires the Parking Commission to meet monthly. There's no challenge in court to dispute the validity or the legality of Board Bill 92. Therefore, the Parking Commission should be meeting. So you have myself, you have the Director of Streets. I'm the plaintiff, the Director of Streets, appointed by the mayor, agrees with my side. The comptroller has not taken a position, basically, to my knowledge. The treasurer is the only person that's protesting this, who happens to be someone who said that that's what she wanted to do, is move parking into local government. So I want to move forward to continue the conversation in my capacity as chair. They have not provided us any information that demonstrates a conflict of interest. Just because you say there's a conflict of interest doesn't mean there's a conflict of interest. It's no different than when we argue on the floor of the Board of Aldermen. We all have our opinions and we're entitled to our opinions. Now, through this whole process, dealing with Board Bill 92, dealing with Board Bill 93, there was a request for a legal opinion about the board bills. I provided the legal opinion. Members of the board voted based on those legal opinions. I have not seen a legal opinion that suggests that I in any way have a conflict of interest. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just talk. And just because someone says it doesn't mean it's true. And so with that, I'm disappointed that the treasurer has basically said, you know, I don't care what you guys want to do, street committee, I'm not coming. That's very unfortunate. But a subpoena will compel her to come. And if she does not come after being served a subpoena, then there's further recourse for that, which I will hope she does not want to take it to that particular level. Because the end result of not responding to a subpoena is jail. I don't think in the history, I'd like to be proven wrong, that any elected official has been subpoenaed and refused to show up, number one, but has been subpoenaed, refused to show up, and suffer the consequences of going to jail. That is not a path I want to take. I think that we should communicate as professionals, putting all personal biases aside and sticking to facts. That is what I'm interested in. Anyone have any comments? Yes.
I do, Chairman. I said, so if you do the subpoena and she's compelled to come, she will come with her attorney and still refuse, she can still refuse to answer questions like last week?
Potentially,
Because
but,
of your, the supposed conflict of interest.
right, but, and I'm not well versed in the city charter, but I do believe, and I'll defer to, our legal scholar on the committee. But if there's a subpoena issued and a person is compelled to testify
Right.
and provide documents, to not testify, provide testimony would be a violation of a subpoena. Would that be correct, Alderman Coker?
I mean, yeah, she could certainly seek to quash a subpoena, which I don't know, she may do based on the existing lawsuit. I think you'll have to issue the subpoena and see how she responds. I will note, just for the committee, I cannot be here next Tuesday. If you're doing it at 9 o'clock, I've got to be in court in the
Okay.
county. I can't miss that over the trial.
Okay.
So I don't know who chairs the meeting, if you're going to chair it or if you're,
You know what? I would chair the meeting.
okay.
I would have no choice because I don't feel I have a conflict of interest. Or I believe I can designate somebody
Somebody
else
else.
to chair.
Okay.
I'd have to make sure I check with legal counsel. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I just didn't want us to be like spinning our wheels, so to speak. I understand your position. And I just was, if she would be, kind of not forced, but have to respond to some of the things that we didn't respond to last week.
Alderman Boyd,
No question.
Alderman Middlebrook.
No question.
Okay, well, we will consider the Streets, Traffic, and Refuse Committee adjourned for today. Thank you, everybody.
All right.